Just weeks before the occupation of Wounded Knee, a white man killed an Indian near Custer, South Dakota, 50 miles from Pine Ridge. When local officials charged him with manslaughter, not murder, 200 angry AIM protesters came to town.
And you charge a white man premeditated murder, you charge him with second-degree manslaughter. And we ain't going for it anymore. And I know this whole damn town is an armed camp.
Hey, listen, white man. I have had all the bullshit from your race as I can take.
When police barred them from entering the courthouse, AIM members forced their way in.
Open the doors up. Go in, go in.
Just as we walked in through the door, then we were attacked by law enforcement. We were fighting, and they come at me with a nightstick, so I blocked it and took it away and started using it on them.
I know I was right on the steps, and things were happening. We bloodied the guy, we took the helmet away, we bloodied him up. Then I ran across to help get gas from the filling station. We were filling up, making Molotov cocktails and busting the bottles on the building, and the fire just started on the wall and everything.
Protesters set the courthouse ablaze and left Custer in shambles.
There was absolutely an element in AIM that considered itself a revolutionary organization who were comfortable being around guns, who absolutely loved the idea of AIM being outlaws, who just wanted to get it on.
The confrontation in Custer caught the attention of the Oglala dissidents on Pine Ridge. 3 weeks later, when their campaign to impeach Dick Wilson failed, they asked AIM for help.
Calling an AIM is attractive, but it's a roll of the dice. It's a roll of the dice because where AIM goes, chaos often follows, so that when those traditional chiefs bring in AIM, they're doing this in full knowledge that as they go down the road, they don't know exactly what's going to happen.
The Oglalas had exhausted all legal options. They believed that to put an end to Wilson's harassment and intimidation, they needed what AIM could offer.
AIM can bring bodies, they can bring people. They have the phone numbers of people at TV networks who can get on airplanes and bring television cameras out. None of the established national Indian organizations can do what AIM does.
The American Indian Movement's motto was anytime, anywhere, any place. And that was the most important job that we could do, is to be where there was injustice and to confront it.
At a crowded community meeting, dissident Oglala's 5 traditional chiefs and AIM representatives finally arrived at a radical plan. Together, they would seize the town of Wounded Knee. They would force Dick Wilson from office and, for the first time in nearly a century, draw national attention to Indian concerns.
The Oglala Nation is at a crossroads that can change the course of history for Indian people all across the nation. And I would like to ask that the chiefs listen very closely to what is being said here.
There was this hesitation. No one could make a decision, and no one would endorse us. And then the women started to talk.
Ellen Movescamp, a founder of the Oglala Sioux Civil Rights Organization, argued in favor of occupying Wounded Knee.
This has been going on for a long time before we invited the American Indian Movement here. Because the people were scared, and they are scared of Dick Wilson and all his men. I don't see why all these people come from all over. I don't see why they can't take him and throw him out or throw him in jail or something, the way he's been terrorizing people here on a reservation. And I live in Pine Ridge at that gunpoint, but I'm not scared of them anymore.
She was pushing, and she was pushing to spark something, and oh, it did.
Finally, Fool's Crow, the oldest traditional chief present, spoke. "Go ahead and do it," he said. "Take your brothers from the American Indian movement and go to Wounded Knee and make your stand there." In the 19th century, the Lakota fought furiously to defend their territory against relentless American expansion. In 1868, embattled Lakota chiefs signed the Fort Laramie Treaty to protect more than 30 million acres of their land. But the United States soon reneged and forced the Lakota onto small, desolate reservations.
Americans like to think that American Indian history is something in the past. I'm one generation removed from the genocide of my tribe. And every tribe in this country has a time of horror. I mean a time of absolute horror when they were confronted by this invader. And some that happened almost 500 years ago. But as they come across the plains, our time of horror came in the late 1800s, and we remember it very well.
In the frigid winter of 1890, Chief Bigfoot was leading a group of Lakota, mainly women and children, to shelter on the Pine Ridge Reservation. On the morning of December 29th, they were attacked by the U.S. Army on the banks of Wounded Knee Creek.
My great-grandmother is Katie Warbonnet. She was a survivor at Wounded Knee. When the shooting broke out, she and her sister got Kiksawee, ran down into the ravine and made it to some plum bushes. And she could hear the firing and the firing and hollering, and then finally it was quiet.
More than 300 Lakota people lay dead. After remaining untouched in the ice and snow for 3 days, they were buried in a mass grave. The massacre would mark the brutal end of centuries of armed Indian resistance. For those who came nearly 100 years later, Wounded Knee was sacred land.
I walked over to a gully and I picked up some sage and I went and washed myself and I prayed to those ancestors that were there in that gully. And I said, we're back. We'll return my relations. We belong.